Take notes.
I'm live on both. What up, Instagram, Facebook, and YouTube? Like and share this feed. It is Chef Jay and Natalie out here. Um, it is a beautiful day in the neighborhood out here,
It is.
and we are excited to have a good time with you guys today. Wait for you to tap in here, Natalie. All right, there you go. Request. All right, guys, like and share this feed. It is Chef Jay and Coach Natalie out here. We are ready to make some impact today and have a good time. You're coming in on here now. Guys, like and share this feed. Once again, this is Chef Jay. What's up, Natalie? Finally here.
I
Morning,
am. It's
morning.
feedback.
Oh,
Let
good
me turn
afternoon,
it down.
rather.
We good?
Yes, we are good. All right, guys, like and share this feed. We are live on Facebook, Instagram, and YouTube. And we have some really exciting things to talk about today for the month of May. How you doing, Natalie, over there in Augusta, Georgia?
I'm doing great. It's kind of cold out here. And cold for me is like 60 something, 70 something degrees. So I'm like, it's a little chilly out here in Augusta, but we're doing good over here. Excited to be here another Wednesday. Woo woo.
Yeah. So it's so cool because first off, too, last week was so dope. If you guys remember, I watched our live last week. We were talking about how to identify who you are, your target audience, how to communicate with your audience, and establishing daily stress reducing routines. All right, so the way I did that last week, the past week after hearing that, I really started to just remember to resting in what I knew that belonged to me. So I had an event on Sunday for Mother's Day. It was super dope. Last week, this time, I had only about like 20 tickets sold, which is really weird for Mother's Day. I rested in the fact of what I knew. I sowed a seed. I rested in knowing that all is well because my gifting that I was going to be operating in was about helping other people celebrate Mother's Day as well as just having a good time. I sowed a seed right before we got on live, or right after it was, and within maybe 3 days, the whole event was sold out to capacity. Yeah, so super dope. I'm so happy about that because it goes back to the same thing we're talking about. We're really practicing every single day, so we're not just doing this just to say do this or motivate you to do this, but we're not doing this because a lot of people who are saying that don't practice what they really preach because they're not operating in the procedures that they're telling other people to do, and that's not the vibe.
That's so good. I was trying to can you hear me?
I can, you good.
I was trying to turn down my volume because I kept hearing the echo, but
I'll hear it.
I loved that you said you were resting. And I tell my clients that all the time, like you have to rest in what's already done. This is why having a vision is so important for your company because once you have the vision, you already know what the outcome is.
Yeah,
So even when you have an obstacle along the way, going back to the vision is not going to shake you
yeah.
because you know this is what's going to happen. So I got to rest in the finished work. And y'all know I love me some Jesus. I always say rest in the finished work of Christ. Like what is already done, what's already been built, we need to rest in that finished work. And we just making steps towards the vision that we already see. I tell my clients all the time, your vision, the vision that you establish, the vision that you see, the vision that you write down and make plain is your receipt of what God has already done.
That's
So when things start getting crazy, you show that receipt. Listen, when my family and I moved to New Mexico and we had to order furniture, there was a back order because we came in a time like right when COVID had started. And so when we went to get our furniture, it was backed up like crazy. Like we could not get it for months and months. And we kept going back with the receipt saying, this is our receipt. We paid for this. We want our furniture. And they'll be like, okay, we know we got your receipt. Let me look up to see where the shipment is at, when it's going to be here. And they would always give us a date. Sometimes the date got pushed back. But the fact of the matter was the receipt was an indicator of this is what's coming our way at this appointed time. So
You know
that's
why
what
that's
vision.
good? So you said that's good. You say that. So we don't always know when the manifestation will happen and what we're ready to receive, right? But when you know that I have this receipt to receive, it doesn't matter when I get it. I know that I have it in the bank, right? So when it comes to certain, and I was talking about this last night to my friends that asked me, He was like, you've been in business for a while. Like, this is my first year in business, and you just said something to me about, you want to be have your first $1 million year this year. And he was like, well, what should I believe for in my first year? I said the same thing. Because the reason why is we have so many, like when I started my business, I was 10 years old. That was like 2000. So you got to think times were different. Now you guys have social media. It costs you nothing to believe. It costs you nothing to say this belongs to me. It costs you nothing to do that. But the thing about it too is when it's not on our time schedule, sometimes we get kind of like sad about it. But I'm gonna still believe that in this year this is going to happen. And if it does not, I will still be one step closer to that promise. Because I know that that belongs to me. Because when you're operating in your gifting, so just talking about what I do with my coaching business, the whole theme of it is to identify all of your gifts, to find the purpose in each one of them, to now target profit in all areas. So for me, when I go with my coaches, my clients, that's what I work with them on. Let's tap into all your gifts, because guess what? Once you tap into your gifts and find the purpose in it, profit automatically comes. It may not come how you want it to, but in the meantime, have an attitude of gratitude about it. So in your waiting process of what you really want to happen, just maintain an attitude of gratitude. Last week when sales were not looking good, I just said, you know what? I'm just thankful that this is my gift and this is my purpose, and I'm here to bless people. I don't care how it's going to happen. I just know it's sold out and everything will be taken care of, every single bill. Once I manifested that, it didn't matter how it was gonna look. I didn't know if it was gonna be sold out the day before. All I knew is I prepared enough food for a certain amount of people, and I knew that those people were gonna come to fulfill what I knew I was destined to do.
I'm taking notes. So good. You said, I have to go back to this. It costs nothing to believe.
Yeah,
And it really doesn't. It costs nothing for you to sit here and believe that you can have and become everything that you see in your mind. But it's going to cost you something to make a move. When you
yeah,
start moving and when you start building, that's when the costs come in.
yeah,
And the Bible says, no man, no wise man builds a house without counting the cost.
yeah,
And so I love how you say, start with the belief, start with the thing for free. And if you
yeah.
want to parallel that to Christianity, it costs nothing for us to get saved to accept salvation.
Mm-hmm.
But in order to be sanctified, in order to go from where you are right now to the best version of yourself, it's going to cost you a lot of things.
Yeah,
And we don't realize that as we move forward as entrepreneurs, it's going to cost your old mindset. It's going to cost those money mindsets that you had when you were growing up. And, you probably grew up in poverty. And when you asked your mom for a pair of Jordans, she said, no, we're going to get these Payless shoes. It's going to
had
cost
them
you
stats.
that memory. It's
Yeah,
gonna cost you that. It's gonna cost you, you saying, oh, I can't really do this because I grew up in this particular family or I have this particular background. That's what it's gonna cost you. It's gonna cost you your old way of thinking,
yeah,
and you're gonna have to lay that down constantly in order to move forward and become an entrepreneur. You're gonna unlearn.
yeah.
And that's
And it's
what,
hard though.
it's
It's
hard.
hard
It's
because you know what
true.
it is too. When you think about even to a lot of people have unsuccessful relationships in business or even in dating, because it's just like everybody has their own ideology of what things should look like. If it's forced or if it's what they saw. So when you are really believing with something like such as a business or to operate your purpose, when you really count the cost, I think too the first thing to do is start with mindset. And when you look at mindset, you want to really start writing things down. Like for example, is when it comes to what I'm about to actually do again, because it's the beginning of the month still. Like, well, the middle of the month almost. What I'm about to actually do again is write down what I'm believing for. Right. Once you write down what you're believing for, right, you start to figure out ways how to get there. But the thing about it is the reason why writing it down is so important is because as you write stuff down, it's different from thinking in your head, right? Because when you're thinking in your head, you don't always remember. But if you write it down and you see it every single day and what you want to accomplish, it starts to build things differently. Even today, my friend Tashonda, we do a lot of events together. She does the decor, I used to do the food. And we did 3 events the back to back weekends. And we gave halls at least about $6,000 the past 2 weekends because we rented a hall on Sunday, rented a hall on Saturday, rented a hall the weekend before, and that money could have went to what we wanted to do with our event space. We talked about last year. But now we're like, no, we need to be strategic because the money that we paid for these halls these past weekends to have events could have went to our establishment, right? So what we started to do today was to start researching properties. What do we want? We know that we want like a kitchenette. It's either a space or it could be a build out. We know we need a parking. So now we're starting to write the vision down so it starts to make sense. So we're writing everything down of what we need, what we want to accomplish because now we said, all right, 3 o'clock today, we're going out to look at venues because we have an idea now. So when you start writing certain things down, is because first you got to think about your mindset. The mindset shifted with us when it's like, yeah, we booked and busy, that's good, but how can we even be uh, more booked and less busy by just setting things up in place? Because think about an event space, even if we do food or the decor or not, we still make money just from having the location. You get what I'm saying? And the way I did the factor, the money is going to yield in about 24 to at least $32,000 a month. So the thing about it is too is like sometimes you have to write stuff down, change your mindset, and once you change your mindset and write stuff down and start creating a belief practice, you start to prepare to receive what belongs to you. So I know for a fact that I want an event space. That's my next goal with my business. Get an event space. I do too many events not to have a bigger space, and I'm losing on too much money by not having it. But the thing about it is, before for years, the idea seemed so expensive to me. Like, oh, my credit was a little jacked up. Every time I get a gig, I got to pay something else with it. But now it's like, listen, the same way you got your current spot, do the same faith practices again to make it happen again. Like sometimes it's just like when we get to a new level, sometimes we forget what we did to get to that level, and we don't apply the same principles. With every grade level you go to, even in high school or from high school to college, from grammar school to college, it's the same principles. The assignment may change, but the principles never change. Something start with just critical thinking. How can I make this apply to my next level? So when it comes to entrepreneurship and you want to be better at, you want to really work on managing your expectations of yourself. So when it comes to my business, I'm learning to manage myself better with expectations because expectation, managing that, it really allows you to really grow exponentially in your business. But when you don't manage your expectations, it's sometimes really hard to really kind of grow. You know
Hmm.
what I'm saying? You want to start managing expectations because it allows you to think bigger. I expect X, Y, and Z to happen, and I am managing it every day by doing X, Y, and Z. By one time, waking up in the morning, saying my faith professions, actively looking for event spaces on different websites that are realtors. I'm actively looking about, this fabric will nice. I'm every day I'm managing my expectations because I know I'm going to receive it, but I want to start managing everyday expectations, which is not hard to do.
That's so good. That is so good. And listen, I love that too. A lot of the times we have a lot of expectations for other people, but we don't put the onus on ourselves. And Eric Thomas has an amazing he has a video, and it was, I listened to that video over and over and over, and he was just like, it's time for you to what did he say? It's time for you to expect the best out of you instead of everybody else.
Yeah,
You're asking everybody else to show up and you won't show up.
yeah,
You're asking,
that's
it's
good.
time for you to show up for yourself. It's time for you to hold yourself accountable. And when I listened to that, it was in 2019. I remember I was starting my workout journey, and I was like, you know what? I need to hold myself accountable to this workout. I can no longer say, "Oh, I need an accountability partner. Will you be my accountability partner?" Because subconsciously I was reaching out to people that I knew would not hold me accountable,
That's
that I
good.
knew would not show up after 3 days. They would stop doing it, and then I'll be like, "Oh, well, she stopped doing it, so I'm going to stop doing it."
Yeah,
And there came to a point where it was just like I cannot wait for somebody else, and I cannot use other people as an excuse for why I don't show up for myself. And I have to hold myself accountable. The same thing with expectations as an entrepreneur. And this is what, managing expectations, you said, write it down. Writing it down, it kind of cements it in your mind that this thing is a reality. So
mm-hmm.
for me, when it comes to content planning or planning days for my business, I have to literally put that on my calendar. And I
Yeah,
have 3 calendars. I have the paper calendar, I have the whiteboard, and I have the virtual calendar. So every time I open up a calendar, I see them all on there, and it's color coded. And I remember sharing that people were like, "Oh my God, this is a lot. This is crazy." It's a lot in the beginning because it's
yeah,
the first time you're introduced to a new process.
that's
But
good.
as you get used to a new habit, ET says this too, habit stacking, it becomes easier. What a lot of us are doing, we're trying to have 50 different things, expectations of ourselves on the very first day, and we can't manage that instead of
You can't
having
do everything.
three.
You cannot do
Yes,
everything.
you can't
You,
do everything. Not at all. Not at once. I believe you can do everything, but you can't do it all at one
yeah,
time.
that's true. You know, it's so funny because one of my big sisters, her and her husband, well, ex-husband used to pastor a really large church, and you know, I became cool when they got divorced, but we spent a lot of time together, right? And what I
Hmm.
loved about her system is how she organized everything in its perfect order. So, for example, she would do a monthly, a weekly, every Sunday. I already knew she had that weekly calendar out, and every night she evaluated what she had to do the next day and what she didn't get accomplished. And I'm like, man, that's a lot. I think I never get to that level because I had low expectation about
Ooh,
expecting. You know, the thing about it is too, you said a good point about being your own accountability partner as well as having these expectations on yourself. When you're really trying to go to the next level, you have to pull out the best out of you.
you
Because
do.
like even today, I don't know why I didn't feel good this whole morning. I didn't feel like getting on live, but I said,
Me either.
I already know Natalie's waiting on me, and I already know that for example, this is my accountability partner, but I'm accountable to myself because through these lives, like we listen to these too. We go back and listen to it and process information because at the end of the day, we know that for a fact we're accountable to each other, we're accountable to ourselves, and we know that it's other people who's relying on us to really kind of do certain things. So, for example, is we all have gifts, right? With each of the gifts that we have, each gift that we have is purpose to help someone, even if it's one
That is
person.
so good.
So if I have the gift of, let's say, I may have the gift of smiling and being friendly. Every day, someone's relying on you to be happy and friendly so that they can enjoy their day. There's some people who are depressed. One of my other friends was talking to me the other day. She said, "You know what, Josh? I moved to a new area, and then I would just be my friendly self, and I was talking to this lady. We had a conversation, and she said, "No one's been this nice to me." And she was saying, "Yeah, it's just nice to be nice." And after that, the lady confided in her and said, "I was really thinking about committing suicide because
Wow.
I just feel like I couldn't handle the pressure, but X, Y, and Z." But it took my friend having that smile that she always has, being friendly, even sometimes she don't want to, having a conversation with somebody that really changed the trajectory of her life. So sometimes when we
Hmm.
don't show up, someone is dying on the inside because we haven't
Hmm.
we haven't been true to our gifting and we haven't been true to realizing that everything we do has a purpose. And I think the best part about this, we both teachers, so we know that in education, we realize that teaching is maybe 20% of the actual learning process. Teaching
Yeah.
the curriculum is 20% of what we do. The 80% of teaching is identifying who's in the room and what kind of help and services do I need to provide for them. Teaching real life professional life coaches, because we
Hmm.
have to see stuff in people that they don't see in themselves. Like
In
there's so
themselves,
many
yeah.
some stuff in me and Natalie I don't see in myself, and I've been blessed to work with so many super dope business coaches where they see stuff in me that is just like, man, that's what you think of me. I know I
Yeah.
can, dope stuff, but they were like, Chef, you're a gold mine. I'm like, man, that's how you really feel. And it's refreshing to hear that because sometimes when you're always just working and you're not really kind of
Yes.
looking at your goals, writing stuff down, you're just always in the grind of stuff, you kind of forget how far you've come. And sometimes it's hard to
Hmm.
see where you're going because you're so in the thick of it that you never take a moment to pause and reflect. And that's why every single day I really have an attitude of gratitude moment where I'm able to really say, you know what? I'm thankful that even though I don't have everything that I want, I have everything that I need plus some. I'm able to
Hmm.
do X, Y, and Z, so I'm thankful for that. In the interim, as I'm being thankful, I said, but I am also thankful that today will be my $10,000 day. Today, like
Hmm.
you have to add an attitude of gratitude because you want to. When you don't meet the expectation that you have for yourself, you can't beat yourself up about it. Just be
Yeah.
thankful for what you did accomplish, and as I'm thankful for what I did accomplish, I'm going to be thankful that I will accomplish more today or the next day. And I'm going to keep that hope alive because
Hmm.
even if I didn't do it, but you know what though? Let me celebrate my growth because when I when I celebrate my growth and productivity, I'm giving myself a pat on the back because there's some people who didn't do it today. Some people didn't wake up to even get up. So for me is let me be grateful and have absolute gratitude for where I am, and as
Yeah.
I appreciate, I am thankful for what is yet to come.
That's good. And I love how you say the attitude of gratitude allows you to self-reflect, and self-reflection
Mm-hmm.
allows you to become more productive instead of procrastinating. A
Yeah,
lot of times we procrastinate because we're not actually looking at the results. We're not looking at the growth. We're not looking at the measurables. We're just looking internally or intrinsically and saying, I feel good about what I'm doing. But
mm-hmm.
procrastination makes you feel good too. So you
Yeah,
can't really judge, if you're being a procrastinator or if you're being productive by
yeah,
how you feel. You have to look at those measurable goals. You have to be, and the way that you do it is so phenomenal, is you're looking at it as in terms of growth instead of, oh, not what I missed. Yes, we can look at what we missed, but how did we grow?
yeah.
I
And
didn't make six figures this year, but I've been constantly making four figures every month. Where last year I made four figures the entire year. So it's like, okay, I'm getting to where I'm supposed to be, but
yeah,
I'm doing it. I'm gradually getting to that place, but the goal never changes. Like you told your student, the goal is still $1 million for you, even though you've been in business for a year, as is the goal for me, even though I've been in business for over 15, 20 years. The
yeah.
goal is still the same. Now, how we get there is going to differ based on the time and based on, the strategy and how much I put into it.
Mm-hmm.
But the goal is still the same. I'm not changing my goal just
Yeah.
because I didn't meet the goal.
And that's good. And I think too is I think one thing, especially to Natalie, is the clarity coach, right? She does help you to develop clarity, and definitely want to check on her Instagram and find out how to do some coaching with her, because what I love about Natalie, she does clarity coaching. Like a lot of times for people, it's good to have a coach, but a clarity coach is something different because sometimes
It
we're
is.
so boggled down because of our thinking. Your thinking
Mm-hmm.
will cause you to lose out on a lot of stuff or
Ooh.
to gain a lot of stuff. So even too is like when it comes to like every day, right? Every day we have two choices: to procrastinate
Mm-hmm.
or to be productive. Every single day we have that choice. Especially when you're an entrepreneur, you don't have really your own schedule. You gotta build. You don't have to go to work. You
Listen.
gotta build your schedule. It's very very hard if you're not good with time management to do your business full
Mm-hmm.
time because it's like the whole day can go by. It's like, man, everything just happened. It's already 3 o'clock in the afternoon. But I think the biggest goal is every day to start it either am I going to procrastinate today or I'm going to increase my productivity. Every
Yeah.
day it's a struggle because sometimes you want to just chill out and lay around, but when I know that I have certain goals to obtain, I have to realize that Josh, you need to decrease the procrastination and increase productivity. And the reason why I really get it this way is someone has said to me, "Oh, it's so hard to manage my social media. It's so hard." I'm like, first off, your words just really just
Yeah.
wanted me. I had to say stop
Yep.
because too many of those words
Too
around somebody
many.
like me is just like, "Fam, I can't take it no more. I need you to stop talking about what you can, what you can't do, what doesn't work for you." Because the first off, you didn't even try. First off, you didn't even try for longer than 3 days to be consistent at content, or it's hard for me to find this because of this. The first part about I'm looking at is like I have to communicate better to myself about my life.
Mm-hmm.
You can't just allow. No, not saying you can't. It is wise for you not to communicate depth over your life before you even get started. Like some people cancel their whole dream before they even get started. And I realized that too is like, there's some things where someone said to me before, I said I want to do a pop up shop in these different cities. Now, this is before the pandemic, before I said I was doing this. And then they were like, you think somebody gonna pay you that much money and they don't know you like that? That was the last conversation I had with that person. That was the last time I took them seriously. That was the last time I ever communicated a dream to them. That was the last time I had to put a stop to that friendship because you don't even believe how I believe. So I can't
Mm-hmm.
even deal with you on a belief. You may be a good friend to hang out, but you're not my good friend to believe with because when it comes to my goals and
Ooh.
dreams, one thing about my circle, we encourage each other to think as big as you want, talk as big as you want, to walk as
Come
big as you
on.
want. Because if my friends believe in me and I believe in myself, who cares what people say you can't do? When Amazon was in the garage and people
Come
looking like he's
on.
crazy, who's that quack in the garage? Now Amazon is known all around the world because somebody did not give up on their dream. Netflix was denied by Blockbuster. They laughed at them. Now there's only one Blockbuster store, and Netflix is a household name. You have kids who don't even know what Blockbuster is.
Nope.
So when it comes to stuff like that, even to Marie Calendar. with the pies that she sells. She was working in a diner, and the
Mm-hmm.
owner saw something big in her, like, hey, you need to make this a big thing. And she ended up leaving the diner to create her own franchise. Now everybody knows who Marie Calendar is because she's one of the number one people in food service. Even too, going back to some people don't know who Post is. Post, cereal and stuff like that, right? When the dad died, the daughter took over, and that was the time of the 1920s and 30s and 40s, or no, 1920s and 30s, or the early teens when it wasn't popular for women to be millionaires. She would go around scouting business who she can buy, and she met Bird's Eye. Bird's Eye is the largest food service frozen department inside the world. But what happened with him, he had nobody to think big with him because he knew that he could create frozen foods when there wasn't even freezer departments inside of
Wow. Come
grocery
on
stores.
now.
But he knew that in his mind that I knew that I have this gift to create frozen food to produce masses. And it took one person who was uncommon for her to be a woman millionaire, which is equivalent to a billionaire at this point in time. It took her finding the fact that she was going to be uncommon and she wanted to purchase businesses. And she met the guy Birdseye who believed in his dream. And he knew that for a fact that, listen, I know that frozen food is going to be a thing of the future. So what they did
Yes.
was when it was uncommon for people that want their product, she the post serial daughter, what she did was she started buying supermarkets frozen departments. She started instilling freezers for them, and now
Wow.
everyone knows who Post is. They know who Birdseye is because it took them not giving up on an uncommon dream. Some of your dreams is so uncommon that it's just like, who's gonna want this? But there's somebody that always wants something.
Yeah.
You can sell if you really start to just operate in your purpose. When you tap into your gift, you identify the purpose. Profit will automatically come to you if you just be consistent.
Hmm.
All right, I'm
I
done.
love what you said about speaking to the future, because that's why I work with visionaries,
Yeah,
because visionaries have that uncanny way of creating something that does not exist yet. And a
yeah,
lot of the times the frustration comes because nobody wants it yet.
yeah,
Not that nobody wants
yes,
it, they don't want it yet. The time that you are creating, the time that you have the dream or the vision, you have to clarify it. That's where I come in. And so create the thing for the future. A lot of the times our dreams are future driven, and so it takes some time. There was one young lady that I saw on the Social Proof podcast, and she was talking
yeah,
about how this is a Black woman in engineering, and she created a vending machine that could scan people's faces. This was pre-COVID in 2018. She said she
right,
tried to get so many investors. She tried to sell it to everybody, and nobody wanted it. So she shelved it. She shelved the idea. COVID hits. Now that COVID hits, technology has exponentially increased to a whole nother level. And she said something in her was like, let me bring this thing back. Brought it back. Everybody wanted to invest in her. She became a multi-million-dollar business overnight
right,
because of the product that she created post COVID that nobody wanted.
yeah,
That she said, maybe now is the time. So, a lot of the times we are creating products for the future, services for the future,
yeah,
but because we haven't clarified that
that's
yet,
it,
we don't know what's really what we should be, how we should be moving with what we have. We get really down, and we get depressed and say, you know what, this is not it, I'm going back into corporate, I'm going to go ahead and work for somebody. And not long after, you see somebody else implementing your idea. How many times, how many people?
that's
If
true.
this is you, I want you to put something in the chat, because I know this was me. This was a couple of people that I worked with. They would come to me and be like, Natalie, I had an idea, and I literally saw somebody implementing my idea. Somebody from around the globe that they didn't know, different gender, different race,
Mhm.
same exact idea. And they were like, I should have moved on that idea when I had it, but I was like, who would want this? They're not ready for this. It's not the time. And they left it, and somebody else picked it up. We keep thinking that these ideas, because it comes in our minds, it's all ours. Listen,
No,
not only were the Wright brothers the ones that everybody knows that invented the plane, there were many people at the time trying to invent planes, trying to invent aircrafts. They all tried to do it. And everybody failed, but the Wright brothers who failed kept on going consistently, and their names is attributed to the first airplane, the first flying aircraft.
Yeah.
Like, we don't realize there is a time. I tell my clients this all the time, y'all. There is a time for certain things to be invented.
Yeah.
There was a time for the internet to be invented.
Yeah.
There was a time purpose for the internet. There was a time purposed for the airplane. There was a time purpose for certain things. And you don't even realize that because you have the idea, it's meant for that particular time. But if you don't move on your vision, if you don't get clear on that vision,
That's it.
somebody else is going to get that same idea, and they're going to get the clarity, and they're going to move on it. So we have to really understand it's not just about us, it's about what other, like Chef Jay said, there's a purpose in your gift.
Yeah.
It's not just to make you look
Did you
good.
say that again?
Siri always in my business.
Seriously,
Not
can you
just
say
to
it
make
again?
you look good.
Seriously, can you say it again? Because that's how good it was.
Yeah, it's like it's not just for me to look good. It's not just for me to make $1 million. It's not just for me to be prosperous. It's for the world. It is for the world.
That's
And your
true.
$1 million is just the seed money for you to continue to do and create and to build. Money is attracted to purpose, period.
And that's the biggest thing. And I think the more you realize that, and I think that, so once you do, and so also too, guys, if you want to really kind of work with us for coaching, guys, you definitely want to check out the link in both our bios on Instagram to really start coaching with us.
Mhm.
It's Natalie.lee.martin for reach out to Natalie, and mine is Subject Encounter. We're working on something big as well with a coaching community with more
Yes.
details to follow. But besides that part, going back to what you were saying too, is once you establish that clarity part, I think the biggest part about when you get clarity on your own vision, the second hardest part is communicating your message and your vision
Yes.
effectively. I was expressing to someone yesterday, and then he told me his business name, and I said, no, no, no. Your business name is your business name, but you need a tagline that shows what you do.
Mhm.
So, for example, is mine. My business name is Chef Jay's Encounter. Tagline: Taste the difference. So
Ooh.
when you automatically taste my food, the tagline tells you what I do. You're going to taste the difference in the experience. So when it comes to creating clarity inside your business, the next thing that is to communicate is how do I communicate to my audience what I do? You
Mhm.
know, so when you come up with business names and stuff like that about what you do, it's like you have to really develop an elevator speech, right? So I feel like you have a 15-second one, you have a 30-second one, you have a minute one, right? Depending on what time you have, you got to figure out what time you have. So for example, is my 15-second one is I help people find the purpose and identify their gifts to find the purpose in each one to create profit. That's my simple one. But then I'll go in depth with a 30-second one like,
Mhm.
hey, my name is Chef Jay. What I do is I help people find and tap into every one of their giftings. With me, when I show you how to tap into all your giftings, the next thing we do is to find the purpose in every aspect of that gift. Because once you find the purpose in it, now you can proceed to find the profit that will change the game for you and your family to create generational wealth. That's like my 30-second one. You know what I'm saying? So once you start breaking it down, though, but once again, I've been doing this for my mentoring program. I've been mentoring young people since 2013, but it took me that many years to really kind of establish that part.
Mhm.
It took me so many years to establish it, but now because I got clarity, I'm around people that are
Mhm.
clear. I'm around energy that it forces me to care about what I'm
Yes.
doing. Now it just rolls off the back of my tongue because now I know exactly what I'm called to do. Sometimes you have to get busy about doing things. I know some people say, "Oh, don't be a busybody." Be a busybody because sometimes, as you get busy and you're showing your face and you're showing up, you will meet the right people who will help hone your gift and edit you. So for it's like typing a paper, you all over the place, but next thing you know, you get that Microsoft Word or Google, whatever you have for Google, and you start editing that paper, it then starts to make sense. Because sometimes you have to. It may come off as gibberish. Sometimes it may come off as
Mhm.
like, "Oh, I do this, 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 and this," you know. But then as you get clarity, you will start realizing that it will start to make sense. But it takes you to really show up to the occasion. Some things happen in your life that you cannot control. There are some things that have nothing to do with you personally, but it has been assigned to you to cause um, havoc in your life.
Mhm.
Once you attack things that are causing havoc in your life by one, sometimes it's not you doing much. All you got to do is show up to the occasion when you don't feel good. Like today, I really didn't feel good. But I said, you know what, Josh, you're not going to do that. I put some music on, elevated my spirit. Got me a
Yeah.
little Dunkin' Donuts coffee with an extra shot, 2 shots of espresso in there. I'm like, you will not sit here and be tired when it's stuff for you to do. We are all assigned things to do, and you got to think. I was listening to this series by that I sent you by Tori Roberts, Sarah Jake's
Hmm.
husband. Sarah Jake's husband, and he
Yeah.
was preaching on about giftings and how a lot of times when God created us, He created hidden gifts inside of us for His glory. And it's like, well, why would He hide that? It's for His glory. As we start to develop self awareness and develop more stuff about us, you start to really start to identify those giftings. And it's beautiful when you start identifying them, people start pointing it out because now you start to really tap into all of your good qualities. And like, wow, man, if I never tapped into those gifts, I would never experience this. My big sister Gary, we were talking about this the other day because everybody know her as a songbird. She sings all the time, but she didn't really know she wanted to sing until people started taking notice of her singing. So sometimes when you're just actively being a busybody, what some people think is a bad thing, being a busybody is the reason why I make money. First off, and I'm just being real. Because I was a busybody, I was always dabbling into tapping into my gifts. I'm very gifted at a lot of creative things. I'm very good at hands-on things. But if I never taken time to be busy about doing different things, I would have never tapped into my giftings. And when I tapped into my giftings, I started to become productive, right? Because sometimes you sit down and you are so operating in spirit of procrastination, it causes you not to be productive. You let a whole day go by. A day turns into a week turns into a month, and then you look at years down the line. Man, I really should have did that.
Yeah.
I should have did this. I should have did that. I stopped that a long time ago when I was at my the job for last. I had a call to travel to Europe. This was before the pandemic, like right before. I had an
Hmm.
opportunity to travel to England, I think it was, or maybe maybe London, one of the places. I don't remember what it was. But because I had a job, I said no, I can't take this many days off. I said this will be
Mm.
the last time I miss on an opportunity because of some job. Like I will not miss out on an opportunity like that. And next you know, the next time it came back around, I had an opportunity to travel to Mexico. Then I went to Phoenix, and I went to all these different places. I went to even like Jamaica. I went to all these different places because I knew that I would not let another opportunity go by because I knew I wanted to be a traveling chef. I knew this is what I wanted to do, so I would not let another opportunity go by because of what looked like it wasn't doable. Man, when you start operating your purpose and your gifting, you start
Hmm.
tapping in, things start to be such different for you because I stopped worrying about, well, I can't do this because of this. No, no, no.
Yeah.
Never again will I miss on an opportunity that was destined for me because some opportunities never come back around.
That's so true. Everybody think that they could just hop on a train and catch it whenever. Some opportunities never come back around.
That's
Look,
because
I
we live
definitely,
life as if we don't have an expiration date.
yeah,
If
we're
you
gonna die.
knew the day your life would
We
end,
gonna
what would
die.
you do differently? If
Listen.
you know that tomorrow was your last day, what would you do differently? If I
Yep.
knew that next week was my last day on earth, what would I do differently? We
Hmm.
had like YOLO is a real thing to me. Like YOLO, what is it called?
You only
Uh,
live once.
YOLO's like something about live like whatever. You
You
only live
only live
once, right?
once.
That is a
Hmm.
reality thing because I'm only gonna have May 11th one time of
One time.
2022. So I'm gonna treat this day like it's my expiration date, and I'm gonna live out loud with purpose.
Hmm. I love that. I love that. Live out loud with purpose. That's so good. I need to write that down. Listen, I have to go back to what you said about why your gifts are hidden. And I was just thinking about it, like, seriously, why is it like we don't just automatically know when we first, come into the world? And I'm thinking about a diamond.
That's
If you
good.
give a baby a diamond ring, what would the baby do with it? They don't know the value of the diamond. They don't understand what it's for. They're probably gonna eat it,
Hmm.
swallow it, put it in their mouth, try to feel it around. And so you can't give immature people, you can't allow them. This is so God. He wouldn't allow us to attain this thing beforehand. What he does is give us the opportunity to search for it. And this
Yeah.
is what I love about having a coach. Chef Jay and I also ascribe to the fact that we have to have coaches as well.
Mm-hmm.
And we're not just coaching people and saying we don't need a coach. Yes, as a coach, we also need other people to see what we cannot see. A coach definitely allows you to see the gems that are hidden within you that you have not tapped into yet. A coach also guides you and say, you know what? Maybe you should, maybe you shouldn't do this, or maybe this is, an avenue. Have you thought about this? They allow you to tap into a place that you have not even tapped into yet, because
Yeah.
we're seeing it from a different level. Just imagine somebody being on the third floor of a hotel, and they're looking down, and they're seeing everything. The
Mm.
scope is different from the third floor of a hotel as
Yeah.
opposed to the ground floor. Now go to the top of the roof. Go to the roof of that hotel, and you're seeing much more expansive, like a much more um distance than the person on the third floor. That's how it is when you have a coach. So
That's
for
good.
us, we may be on the third floor or the fifth floor, but then we have somebody that's higher up that's able to see more, to see and experience more than we have. And the same thing for us. This is why it's so important. Listen, I could not have gone to the next level in my business without a coach. I realized that there was something, that there was a plateau, and this was January or February of 2021. I
Mm.
realized there was a plateau. I was like, there was something that I am not seeing that's
Yeah.
keeping me stuck in this position. I need somebody else who's been there and done that to help me. And so I started looking out and reaching out for coaches. And I ended up gaining about 3 coaches in that time, but they really helped me to clarify my message, so much so that I was able to put on something that was not mine, put on a title that was not mine, and then take it off. And I think about David and Saul in the Bible. When David went to defeat Goliath, the first thing Saul said was, "You not trained." And David was like, "Well, I was in the wilderness. I killed the bear and the lion." He's like, "Okay, but put on my armor." David had to put on Saul's armor, and he realized that that thing didn't fit. He couldn't walk in it. He couldn't move in it. And that's what happens sometimes as you're moving along the way, that you said, yeah, get busy. That's exactly what it feels like when you're getting busy. You're trying on different things to see if it fits or not.
Yeah,
So
that's
you can
good.
really find out, who am I? Who am I in the
Sorry, could you say
marketplace?
that again?
Siri, you gonna stop.
Your theory
Who
is
am I
like
in the
your theory want to hear that
marketplace?
good word.
She do. But this is what I do. I really clarify the call for entrepreneurs in the marketplace.
Yeah.
That's my 2-second pitch. But we dig into your call, your clientele, and your company, really establishing the foundation, because when you are clear, you are confident.
Yeah.
When you are confident, you are consistent. And when
Yeah.
you are consistent, you convert.
That's
Money
good.
comes your way when you are consistent. And a lot of us have a hard time communicating our message because we don't have clarity. But once we get clarity, we don't have confidence. We need to have confidence in our own abilities. We can no longer have somebody else confident for us. This is why it's so good to be your own accountability partner, like we said in the beginning,
Yeah.
because now you've built up credit with yourself.
That's
You
it.
know what it's like to go in there and work hard and get results. You know what it's like to leave everything on the table and move through this place with success every single time. Even when you fail, it's a success because you learn from your failures. Like, I'm
Yeah.
not going to do that again. I'm going to do this differently. So
That's good.
people are looking for, I don't know, the magic pill, but there is none really. It's like you
It's
got
just
to do the
working.
work.
Just get out and work. You know,
Yes,
like
do the work.
one of my friends said to me the other day too. We were talking, and she was like, "You know what, Josh? I can make as you make money wise, but I have to work as hard as you work." And the biggest part about it too, and I was like, wow, like you did people, my friends pay attention because honestly, like I do
Yeah,
really well for myself, but it's because I get up and do the work. You know,
yeah.
I think sometimes too is people just think that surprise is here, look,
I know.
surprise, look, I didn't do no work and I got a check, right? Surprise, I did no work and I got
Yay!
another check. No, I had to work for this. You know, like I had to work for this income. I don't know why I really had these here, but it's just like I I had to work for these. But the thing about it is, people want to get these without work. You can't, you
Mm,
can't have work. You can't have manifestation without faith and works.
mm-hmm.
Faith without the work is dead. So if I'm believing to be this person, and if I'm believing to, like for me too, like I never thought I would be like a coach. I never thought I would be
Mm-hmm.
even in education the way I thought I would be, and that
Yeah.
was by chance. I just went to a school one day and I saw how crappy the teachers were when I went to speak, And I said, oh, I need to be a teacher because they not investing nothing into these
Listen.
kids. And then no, but here's the thing about that part too. I went to my old high school, and this one chef had said out loud, "I'm here to make sure you guys don't be hoes and strippers." He said that to, a white man said this in a group of all black students of a high school I went to. I was so offended because I'm like, who are you to come and say stuff like that? But that's the reality because sometimes when you're in urban environments or you feel like you're from the
Yes.
projects, you feel like that you're from this, that you feel like you're from
Yeah.
poverty, that I'm only able to do this. But that's cool.
Yes.
When that
Yes.
white man said that to all of those African American, beautiful black and brown kids, I said, no, I need to teach here. So you know what I did? That next day I applied for my teacher certification. I ain't want to. I said no.
Wow.
I need to apply for my teacher certification. Applied for it in that May part, and it's so ironic. I was hitting up my old advisor who worked at the school, and I said, "Hey, I want to work here. If you have an opening." They didn't have an opening, but that was in like June, and in December that man passed away.
Oh
And not only did he
wow.
pass away, the first person they called was me because I told her I'm going to get my paperwork together. So for my first teaching job, and God rest his man's soul, but I got a teaching job just because I showed up to the one event, and I don't know if I ever told you that story. That's how
No,
I got into teaching,
that's
and I was
crazy.
23 years old, and it was just like it just happened for me. In 23, I'm starting to teach. I'm still fresh out of college. I only graduated, you gotta think, at the age of 21. But I've been doing my
Mm-hmm.
business for so many years. I had so many years experience with those 12 or 13 years
Mm-hmm.
that it was just like so perfect for me because now I had the energy to be more inspirational with a lot of these kids and really
Yeah.
keep up with them. But it was like wow, like that's because I showed up to the occasion and I prepared myself.
And you
So when
prepared.
no one knows when the expiration date is, but when you are prepared, it
Listen.
will just fall in line. So that's how I started teaching, and I started my mentoring program for kids maybe 2 months after that. And in that
Wow.
same year, what
That's
what
crazy.
other teachers said they couldn't do, we went to competition and got third place out the state of New Jersey. And from that moment, I started my mentoring program. And then and now from that moment, I've been doing that since 2013, 14. My mentoring program for teens, and now they all have their own business. Most of my
Wow.
mentees that I really work with, they have their own business. Taj
I'm gonna
has
need you to get
a food
testimonials,
business.
sir.
JC has an edible business. Callie has
You're gonna have to get testimonials.
yeah, Callie has a skincare line. She's in Atlanta. Another one has a dog food line.
Yeah,
Another one's
no,
a
you're gonna
massage
have to
line.
get those
So it's just that
testimonials.
because I was just open to being submissive to what God called me to do, which was teaching at the
Mm-hmm.
time, I was able to sow into so many other lives because I was available by dibbling and dabbling. Dibbling and dabbling. Like just
You were
being busy.
busy.
Being busy
Mm-hmm.
got notoriety for my food. Being busy got notoriety for me to come speak at high schools. Being busy got me to start teaching high school. Being busy started to get me to see a need that kids needed to someone just to believe in them. Being busy got me not only to believe in kids, but got them to really start their own business. Like, oh, you could do that, fam. What you mean? I did it. You could do it too. Because they saw a
Wow.
represent. A lot of times with coaches, you need someone to have a representation of who looks like you.
Yes.
That's why it's
Yes.
so important for me to
Yes.
go after that business because people need representation. When you see somebody that looks, that's why it's so big for
Presentation
for so many
makers.
blacks to be an entertainer right now because you see someone that looks like you. And once I see somebody that looks like me with the locks, that
Listen,
dark skin, like black, like once I see someone
come
that looks
on.
like me in the fields that I really want to be in, if they can
Mm-hmm.
do it, why can't I? When I see these black people being millionaires from cryptocurrency, they ain't no different from me. So why can't I do
Yep.
it?
What can I do? Listen,
You,
Rihanna just changed my level. Rihanna expanded my level of
yes,
thinking because I was like, oh, I want to be a millionaire because Oprah's a millionaire. And then Rihanna came out and been billionaire. I was like, oh no, we leveling it up now. We not just millionaires no more. The glass ceiling has just been broken. We are moving up another level
yeah,
because just seeing that person that's come from the Caribbean that has that particular background
yeah,
just says something to me like, listen, you can do the same thing too, and we don't realize we're that for
yeah,
other people as entrepreneurs, as people who are taking risks, because it takes a risk to be an entrepreneur. It
that's
takes
real.
nothing to believe. Chef ain't lying. Like it takes nothing for you to sit there and believe you can do it, but it's going to take a risk for you to move into entrepreneurship. And that if when you do that, You become a Rihanna to somebody that's watching you. You
Yeah.
become the Oprah to somebody that's looking. You become the next person, the ET, the Chef J, the Natalies to the other people that are looking. So you got to realize it is not like Chef it always talks about. This is why if you are looking to find purpose in what you do or really define your purpose, you need to holler at Chef J Encounters because he's so phenomenal at that. 10 years old. This used to be my accountability and he partner. And he was 10 years old. He used to say, I remember we used to go to the what was the chicken shack name?
Oh, crowns.
Crowns. We used to go
Crowns
to
before
Crowns and we
service,
used to
before
sit at
Bible
Crowns.
study.
We used to talk about our dreams. I was what 21 because I started teaching at 21. So I
Yeah.
think I was 21 or 20 and you were 10 and I was like, "Yo, this dude right here, we would sit and we would just talk about our dreams." And he always had this older mindset, okay? And just talk about how we're going to implement this thing and to see 20 years later the progression, both of
Yeah.
us going into education, both of us being teachers around the same age. It's so crazy. I'm like, God, what you doing? But it gave us the foundation
Hmm.
because education is the structure in education that I love. I don't
Yeah.
love that they stifle out the creativity, but there was a structure to the way that they organized this thing that if we would implement that structure but still keep the creativity, we could do anything.
Yeah. That's good.
Anything.
I think that's the biggest part about it too, is really identifying. The first thing is you have to identify your gifts, right?
Mm-hmm.
Once we tap into our gifts, um, we come to get the clarity. We find the purpose and the
Mm-hmm.
clarity. We get clear minds, then we start to find the purpose, right? Once you find that purpose, then we lead into profit, you know. But the thing
Yes.
about it too is like along the way you have to be okay with sowing seeds even when you don't have it. There are certain things that the crazy part about the day we did that live last week, my mentor, I have a certain amount I want to sew into every month, but this one was a little tough. But I said, hey, I don't have the full amount. I sold to you, but I have this amount. And then she said, I thank God for increase for your life. And then my ticket sold out by the end of the week for my event. And
Wow.
then two is just that there's a certain level of once you just don't let anybody stop you from tapping into your gifts. Don't let
No.
anybody to stop you from saying you can do it. Like don't let anybody stop you from saying, "Oh, that's stupid. You shouldn't do that." But you know
Mm-hmm.
what though? You're stupid. Somebody do that. You got to say like I think the people that we allow to feed. You have to be also careful with who you allow to feed into your life. The first thing I would do is I need clarity. I would make a list of all my friends, all people I talk to throughout the week, and see what they add to my life. Right? Once you
Ooh.
start to see what they add into your life, you start to realize how do you appropriate them, because it doesn't mean that it can't be. It
Okay.
doesn't
Y'all
mean
need
that
this
it can't
book.
be inside your life. But it's relationship intelligence. You have to identify all your relationships and see the purpose in it. So once I see the purpose in relationships, I know how to appropriate you. You might be my friend that I just hang out with, and I'm cool with that. But you have some friends you talk business with, but you have to identify the relationships in your life.
Mm-hmm.
Because once you identify that, you're able to move to the next level effectively and start to really pursue your goals and your dreams. If, in perfect example, I'll tell you about son. This is what happened, right? So, son is the mother Devin, right? One of my friends, she sold her singing. She got blessed with a gig right off the spot on the stage. Another one of my friends, she showed up with the decor, which she always does, and it was great exposure just from that, from bringing her stuff, And you don't get paid in exposure, but when you just show up for your friends and you show up for your people that you care about, when you have that purpose connection circle, bartering will always be the best. Like let me bless you with this, because I know for life
Mm-hmm.
you need this. Once you do that, you're able to sow in different things. This is my friend who actually did the decor years ago. She sold it to my first grill backdrop. So she said my stuff was raggedy, but she came through and showed me something different. Tashonda showed me how to do balloons. Whereas now it's just like that gift she sold it to me means so much to me because now my events look better.
Mm-hmm.
But it's just like don't be afraid to sow seeds, get that clarity. I'll bring your giftings, and just learn how to start manifesting. Like you can do
Yeah.
whatever you want to do. Don't let anybody stop
Yes.
you.
Don't let anybody.
Especially at the age of 10, starting my business. There was so many people who didn't understand me, and because they didn't understand me, they thought I was doing too much.
Yeah.
They thought I was doing too much. Let a kid be a kid. That childlike faith, that childlike understanding of things helps you grow so expeditiously and really just think that I can do anything I put my mind to.
Yep.
There is nothing I cannot do.
You've been
I
saying that
always,
for
whenever I feel
years.
fear, I go back to what would 10-year-old Josh do? because you ain't have no
Yes.
fear, no fear, except the
None.
dogs because they bite. I don't like that's the only thing I don't play with is dogs and roller coasters. That's the only thing that you ain't gonna catch me playing with. Everything else, listen,
Yo, you had no fear. That was, and like you said, being around other people that are clear and that know, like, it was mind blowing to me that at that age you knew exactly where you were headed. I remember you saying, I am going to be a millionaire at that age. And I was
yeah,
still wrestling in my 20s, still wrestling with the fact that I could even possibly be a millionaire. But that
yeah,
was a seed that was planted in me. And a lot of times we talk about seeds and we think it's only financial, but seeds are words of encouragement.
yeah,
Those are the things that you need to be planting in other people, because there's going to come a time when you are at your lowest and you're going to need somebody to sow something into you. But if
yeah,
you haven't put that out there, you're not going to reap no harvest, because we always think it's about money, 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 money. Listen, I just read in this book right here, The Vision Driven Leader, about a company that started with a bank load of money and went bankrupt within months because they had no vision and they
yeah.
had no clear direction. So you could be cash rich and still poor
That's true.
because you don't know your purpose.
Yeah, and I think the best even about that part too, just talking about that is when it comes to just living authentically, you start to find certain things that really hindered you. Like there's a good point you made about sowing seeds, right?
Mhm.
There's something people in our life, right, that we feel like they should just know better, right?
Yeah.
You should just know that I need this from you because I give this, right?
Mhm.
I've learned to stop that thought process.
Yeah.
Someone I was working at the time, never got paid from me. Just it wasn't a good experience. But I worked underneath the fact that I was receiving something, that wasn't monetary, right? I was getting to one of my friends, and he said, "Bro, what I want you to do is write down every seed you sold into this person, create an invoice about what's owed to you. You want to
Oh, I
create
love
the
when you
invoice?
tell
I think it
this.
came to maybe like 80,000, 100K. That's how much you end
Mhm.
up doing, right? I wrote that invoice, and what I did with that invoice is I said, God, you know what? I thank you. I sowed these seeds genuinely, and I will reap a harvest. The reason why it's not conducive to start really worrying about who owes you
That's
count it
good.
as a seed because sometimes the people that you want to get it back from don't even have the capacity to give back
Ooh.
to you. There's some people you want to give back, you want to get love back from them, you want to get research back from them. They don't even have the capacity to give how God wants you to give. So once I create that invoice, I said, I believe I received this 100,000 plus exceedingly abundantly above all I could ask or think. And I had to. It was hard for me to really get over how I worked for that person. They never came through for me. But I said
Mhm.
they don't even have the capacity to give. Look at their life. They can't give how I need to be give back to. So once I created that invoice for myself and started tapping into that, I got so many open doors that happened for me that it's like,
Mm.
if I never got a dime from them, that invoice I created for myself of what I wanted to get back, it supersedes every single day because I know I sowed those seeds in genuine love. So the thing about it too, don't
Mhm.
be afraid to sow seeds. And we're
Yeah.
about to wrap
Don't be
this call
afraid.
up,
Yeah.
because it's always so dope to really talk to you. We can go on and on. Even
Yeah,
after
we
this, we
sure
talk.
can.
We
Like,
talk longer after we get off live too.
I know, right?
Um, but we want to inspire you as we're being inspired ourselves too to really just start walking authentically in your purpose. Tap into your gifts. Don't let anybody tell you that it's too big or it's too small. Well, no, let them tell you it's too small so you can think bigger. All right. But
Come on
don't let
now.
anyone
I
stifle
love
your
that.
gift. And also, too, is you want to make sure you follow us on social media and connect with us. If you're looking for
Yeah.
coaching, you can go to both of our link trees or link in bios to get more information because we want to help you go to the next level authentically and living your purpose. Anything else, Natalie?
That you said it all. The only thing I would add is just hold yourself accountable. Stop waiting
That's
for
it.
someone to help you get along your way. Everything that you need is already on the inside of you to make the move. So make it. And that's
That's
it.
it. And also be your brand. Get some shirts made for your business.
I
Get some
know. I need to
custom
get some shirts made
stuff
for
for
my
you.
business. I
Some
was
people don't
looking
know
at
you
that,
can
so I was like,
design your
he's
own
all
stuff.
Chef J, Chef J.
Listen, brand yourself. Be a Tyler Perry. Put your name on everything. All right. All right, you guys have a good week, guys. We hope you guys live in prosperity. You will grow in every area of your life, and that today is your day as well as tomorrow's your day. Every day of your life will be the best day of your life because you deserve it and you live authentically in your purpose. So we're signing out. Make sure quickly in our bio to follow us and find more about our coaching businesses. All right.
All right. Bye.